Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me because it's quite a bit of a noisy. My name is Irina Oshchepkova, and I have been with ENTSOG for almost 8 years. And for almost all of those 8 years, I have been working on network codes. So I remember the time when we didn't even have an idea of how a network code should look like, if it's supposed to be a separate regulation or annexed to the gas regulation. I remember the time when we were discussing draft framework guidelines, and now we are at the completely different stage of the network codes. We're looking at the implementation and effect monitoring of the codes. Okay, now fine? Okay. Cool, so in my presentation, I will answer 3 questions. The first question is, what has been done so far? So we started with the description of this initial situation of European gas businesses, where we faced lack of transparency, trading barriers, little trading volume, and different legislative environments. And network codes and guidelines have brought a lot of benefits to the market. And here on the right-hand side, I have listed the main benefits, which is rules harmonization, enhancing transparency, removal of entry barriers, increase of competition, increase of short-term liquidity, and better connected markets. But also on the left-hand side, I listed my 4 favorite network codes and guidelines, because we really split them between the 2 groups. And the first one, the tariffs one, have developed cost-reflective and not discriminatory tariffs to minimize cross-subsidies, and the transparency in tariff methodologies has improved a lot. For capacity allocation mechanism, network code, and congestion management procedures, we have achieved harmonized auctions, and bundle capacity auctions have become available. And balancing promoted short-term markets and market-based balancing harmonized solutions. And these are all very nice and beautiful words, and here is the slide where you can see where it is backed up with evidence and data. So the only thing that you need to concentrate on is the colors, and you can see that from left to right we have moved to a better price convergence between the markets. And that means that the EU gas markets are now well-functioning and competitive. The results are taken from ACER's market monitoring report. Thank you very much to my ACER colleagues for having this analyzed. Now, where are we now? Here's quite a busy slide. It represents all network codes and guidelines, and you can see the timeline starting from 4 years ago up until today. What you need to pay attention to is the 2 aspects for balancing network codes and for tariff network codes, because this year actually is the last deadline for the implementation of the rules coming from those network codes. So the interim measures for the balancing network codes are supposed to have been finished by April this year, and the tariff consultations should have been finished by May this year. There are some buts, which I will talk about later in my slides, but actually already this year is a big one in terms of the step towards market integration, because the implementation deadline have been achieved. Now, what we have done in ENTSOG, as I have described at the beginning of my presentation, every year we are preparing monitoring reports. Monitoring reports touch upon implementation. Basically, they are answering the question, has something been done, yes or no? If yes, then how, and if not, then why? And the effect monitoring talks about, okay, this has been done, and so what happens next? For the implementation of capacity network codes, you can see here the comparison between the last year results and this year results, because we have analyzed the data of 2018, and you can see the clear progress that quite a lot of provisions have already been implemented, including the ones that were introduced with a new version of the code. For congestion management procedures guidelines, we also see that only 3 TSOs are still in progress of implementation, and for all the rest, the guidelines have been implemented. More details on all the reasons for why something hasn't been implemented and the different comparison between the countries you can see in our monitoring reports, which are published on the website. So I will not be talking about the details today. And what we have done also this year is a survey related to one chapter in the capacity network code about incremental capacity. So what is incremental capacity? Incremental capacity means basically new capacity. It could be a new interconnection point, or it could be reverse flow in the opposite direction. So something which hasn't been at this particular interconnection point before. We have made a survey among ENTSOG members, and you can see here stage by stage from different process aspects of the incremental process, and the conclusion is that no incremental projects will be initiated at this stage. So it means that currently market is not in need of new projects. Now this is the slide which is of particular interest because it is linked to what I have talked about before, the deadlines for implementation of tariff network code. The tariff code is saying that by the end of May 2019 you have to have agreed the new methodology according to the network code. And here you can see on the map that some countries are not yet there. The map is dated as of 20th of October this year, but my team has checked it already today and the map is up to date. So this is the status in Europe, where we see the new methodologies have already been decided upon, or they are still in the process of being agreed. And now, what is ahead of us? Next year will be quite a big year for ENTSOG because we will publish 3 monitoring reports. The tariff monitoring report, the balancing report, and also interoperability monitoring report. By the end of this year, you will also see the report on incremental capacity, the one that I have talked about at this slide. So we already have it agreed. The only thing that we need to do is to make a pretty version out of the report and have it done on our website. So you will see 3 monitoring reports this year, and currently the assumption is that ENTSOG will not be doing monitoring every year for all the network codes, but we will be doing it every 2 years. So for example, next year you will see balancing and tariffs, and the year after you will see capacity and congestion management procedure. This is to make sure that we are updating you on what has happened, but not repeating the same story every year if nothing has happened so far. And my last couple of slides related to functionality platform, as we call it. And here I remember a couple of years ago in Madrid Forum, we had quite an interesting discussion with stakeholders, because a couple of years ago we didn't have any issues posted on that platform. Basically, the platform is for stakeholders to complain about something in the network codes or guidelines. And we have created this project together with Acer, and a couple of years ago we didn't have any issues received from the market. So we were wondering, why is it that we have come up with such a great solution and nobody is posting any issues? But gladly, over the 2 years, you can see that totally we had 17 issues posted, and a lot of them have been already resolved. 4 issues are still open, but most of them are the ones that have been just submitted. So the platform is working, and is working so great that we are planning to improve it. And this is Func 2.0, where we plan to make the platform more public, more user-friendly, and increase the direct contact to the users. So in terms of making it more public, we will have public consultation available on platform. Also make sure that all non-confidential information is publicly available, and even include the special news section. In terms of making it user-friendly, there will be a support function available, and there will be also filtering and search options. And the most important thing on this slide is about the direct contact to the users, because we will make announcement to the users of the platform and communicate to them about the status of a particular issue. Now, there was some discussions that maybe we should make this platform like Facebook, so that you can like and repost and so on, but we decided maybe at this stage, let's concentrate on these improvements, because they're already quite a lot. And the idea is that the new platform with new features will be available by the first half of next year. So I invite you all to check the status and post the issues if you face any problems with network codes and guidelines. So this is it from my side. If you have any questions, I will be very happy to answer them. Thank you.